Hello YouTube viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Camera Tuesday, we're going to talk about Nikon Zf. So let's dive deep into it. So what the heck is this puppy Nikon Zf? Well, it's a new launch that's supposed to reach market by now, November 2023, meaning you should be able to buy it right now. As I do not mean low availability or pre-order, just buy it right now. Now this puppy is 24 megapixel full frame. That's the critical part. It's a full frame BSI sensor. So it's a good sensor. Now the killer function here is Ep253, meaning Nikon was really behind in terms of technology compared to Canon and Sony when they released their mirrorless lineup. The primary reason for that was this puppy, meaning Ep6 was not just it was just not good enough. Now they did solve all the problem. They developed this new SoC Ep7, but it was only launched in their flagship, which is idiotically expensive. So you had this ecosystem where you had Nikon DSLR, amazing time tested awesome technology. Then you had mirrorless, that was like unless you buy the flagship, it's like really this is the best Nikon can do. So the solution was Ep7. Now it was very expensive, so now they have released this puppy into a very low cost body, which is mind-boggling. That's why this camera is interesting at all. Otherwise it will be like bleh, who cares. So Ep7 is the main flagship here. Now this also has in-body image stabilization, and because of Designe overtaking usability, they have dual card slot but with some compromise, meaning you cannot record video to both of them, and still you can do whatever you want, raw to both of them. That's not an issue. Video, they do have some limitation, but if you are doing any wedding, oops is not acceptable option. So in those sort of scenario, micro SD, we good. So not amazing, but good enough. Fully articulating touchscreen, which is surprisingly rare in Nikon even now, but most companies have learned it. It's like just give fully articulating and just forget about it. And some scenarios, if they're like photographers are way too stingy, then they are like, okay, we have double hinged, so you get that, oh, vertical line, I want my line to be horizontal. Yeah, that can be arranged. Then you also get flip out. So fully articulate at low cost is very good. Now cost is the interesting part. This is $2,000. If you have noticed, A7 series, it has started at $2,000. Now it has creeped up to $2,200 to $2,400. So this price is very refreshing. Even in this world of inflation, it's very refreshing. And Indian price I have seen online is 1,65,000. That's why I delayed the video. It's like now I can actually see that people can buy it. So this is Nikon Zf, this puppy. So what was the design? Because here's the deal, this camera is half design, half camera. So some serious effort was put into this, meaning this was not just like, okay, make camera look retro. It was like somebody sat down and actually studied the old negative cameras, and they're like, okay, how do we make the design language transport over? So design language has literally, it looks like Fuji, because Fuji has been doing this quite well for quite some time. So compared to Fuji to Nikon, Nikon here is like the first time you can be like, in mirrorless lineup, where it's like, I see what you do, right? Like, okay, some effort, some design language. It literally looks like the old generation's film camera. So it's a really good design effort. Now here's the deal. The design language is such extreme at this point. Either you're gonna love it or you hate it. It's not a blind system. Either you're gonna be like, damn, that's good, or you're like, I don't want it. And this is one of the good things that what sometimes company do is like, instead of making everything bland, they go all out. Whether you like it or not like it, that's up to you. You like it, it's not just bleh. So for many people, it's like just on that hour, because again, if you are like on your 10th camera and it's just another black box that looks exactly the same, people will be like, I will go with this. So that's there. Now full metal body, again, that's unique for this sort of price range, and full frame. But on top of that, the knobs are also brass. So like some serious effort was put into this, making that. Now it also has dedicated black and white button, which is hyper stupid given the fact that sensor is not black and white. And like, wait a minute, sensor can be black and white? Yes, all sensors are black and white. We put a color mask on top of it, which we call color filter, Bayer filter, that gives you the RGB value. So unless you can remove that layer, you cannot get true black and white. So this black and white option is really lame. Now to make sure the lame is not too lame, they have preset options, meaning you can fine tune how reds are doing, blues are doing. But again, if you're gonna do that, it would make more sense to color capture color and do tempering in the Lightroom or your video editing software. So I'm really not comfortable with that idea. It's like, oh, just easy. It's like you're buying a full frame flagship camera, like at least looks flagship. So you're buying something expensive. So you're gonna put effort into the output. So this sort of things look more gimmicky, more like Instagram filter kind of thing. But again, to each their own. Now, you may have to learn this the hard way, that this grip is too stupid. And this is one thing you have to understand. Not everything that we had in the past was amazing. For example, we had this puppy, not amazing. Like, it's good. It's all the things are good, but somebody figured it out that, hey, it would be actually better to have single lens reflex camera. So it's one of those things, like old does not mean great. For example, back in the days, cameras did not used to have the grips. We learned it the hard way, that grips have to be there. We learned it, like that's a learned thing. It's like we made it as small as possible. Then we realized you can make something too small, you can make something so difficult to use that it becomes painful. So this is in that realm. It's painful unless you are using pancake lenses, some lightweight lenses. The moment you touch some big glass, and god help you if you put knocked on this puppy, yeah, that grip, you will curse it. So you may need to buy a Nikon grip. Now, Nikon knows this design is too compromised. They are selling you a grip which specifically adds bump here. And I'm like, and this is another reason why it does not have SD card slot. It's like, this is the part where I'm like, I hate this approach, is that old equals good. It's like, you take the good essence of old and you add modern experience that we have learned the hard way, that thou shall not have battery on the same perpendicular plane as a sensor. Sensor, battery, not sensor, battery. This is what it is. Like, sensor and battery all on the same plane. Consequence, you have less space for your micro SD card. So that's the compromise part. That's like, you look at every other company, even from Sony, they were like, very tiny grips, and they're like, no, we have to give big ass grip, and that became the selling point. Finally, we have big ass grip. So it's like, why do you give us tiny ass grip? That is one thing that you have to be very ready about. And it does have colors which I am genuinely happy, rather than just like, oh, it's silver or black. It's like, okay, we have some options. Like, we have green, we have blue, we have gray. It's like, that's up to you, like whatever you like. Now, be mindful, compare this to let's say Fuji is a bit more experienced. So Fuji design logic is that each of these knobs have a button that is A, meaning a slot, cut A. And now if you send it to A, you can lock it, meaning you cannot accidentally oops out of it. You will know, meaning if you are trying to rotate a knob will not rotate. It has a lock button. So that gives you a clear feedback that, okay, my knobs are not rotating, meaning I'm not changing it. Here, if you are in manual, every knob work. That's awesome. The moment you go to whatever mode, like aperture priority, speed system, or program mode, some of the knobs will not work, but you will not have a physical feedback where it's like, oh, my knob is not turning because I'm in a different mode. It won't do that. It will just like, hey, you can keep rotating, and you may be frustrated. It will take time to learn, but it's one of those things that, yeah, you really should have engaged that part, because again, feedback has to be manual. If it's a manual camera, it has to be a manual feedback. And this, rather than having manual here, that's like everything is automatic. It's just like ISO may require something different, but other than that, everything else could be very easily done. So be mindful of that, knobs and all that. And there is a very good chance that anybody who's buying this will enjoy this for first few days, and then like, automatic, forget about it, or whatever their preferred mode is. It's one of those things that you think you like the old things. Once you do it, it's like, I understand why we don't use it anymore. So design is there, like, it's absolute, it's loud and proud. What about the specs? Well, the whole reason this camera is exciting is simply because of Speed 7. Nothing other than that is like interesting in this. So you have finally Nikon's autofocus. Now, Nikon autofocus was generally 1 to 2 generation behind compared to the competition, as in like Sony and Canon. And the primary reason was Xpeed 6 was just not powerful enough. To give you a context, from Xpeed 6 to Xpeed 7, according to Nikon itself, it's 10x performance gain. They gained it was a really underwhelming processor, so to say. So now they have an autofocus that actually looks like, actually I can keep up. Actually, it will be like, you won't be like, oh, like if you switched a system, you won't be like, I switched the system because of autofocus, or I switched back because the autofocus on Nikon was not good enough. So Xpeed 7 at this price range is really good. Rolling shutter performance is not great, not terrible. Do not expect, this is not a stacked sensor. So it's not like, sensor is, SoC is fast, but not magic. So you're still limited. So be mindful over here. 11 FPS RAW, which is good, really good. And it can write RAW to micro SD card also. 30 fps JPEG, which again in certain scenarios you will be like, that's good, that's good. It also has pre-burst. Pre-burst simply meaning once you do the autofocus, or half press the shutter, it actually starts to take photos. But again, the photos are done electronically and it's put into a buffer. It will not go to the card. You can keep holding it down for, let's say, 1 minute. It will not write it unless you click full. Once you click full, that instance, it will make sure it will save 5 seconds before, like 3 to 5 seconds. You can read the manual what exactly it is, and then it will delete everything from the buffer. So you get pre-action. Why do you need this? Well, that's exactly how high-speed camera works. Meaning, if you are taking a batsman and you're like, you have to see the event happening, or you have to predict that it's gonna happen. But if you have pre-burst, you're like, something happened, okay, I click it. If something didn't happen, you didn't click it. So for many people, it's like, shut up, take money. For most people, it's like it's too hassle to set it up and properly do it. And given the fact it has certain constraint, you may not enjoy it. 32 shot high-res mode. High-res mode is basically because, again, the sensors is black and white. They have a color mask. Now color mask is very unbalanced, so to say. It does not have RGB, as in like 100% green, 100% red, 100% blue. It's not like you get true colors. What you get is green 50%, red 25%, and blue 25%. So you have green, red, green, blue. So you have double the green. Now, like, why do we have double green? Well, because of our eyes. Our eyes are way too sensitive in green. So that was the easiest way to give the most lifelike image. So what did this high resolution means? It moves the IBUS mechanism and allows you to kachang, kachang, kachang. So basically green moves to the blue, then you capture the photos there. Now, taking all the file, crunching that, now you get a true image which has very high resolution. And I do not mean megapixel wise. Like, again, the file does become very high megapixel, but that's not the inherent part. Inherent part, it is true color, and it does have noise reduction as a benefit. So you truly get some high quality images. Is it useful? Static lives, yes. For painting, if you want to take some documentation of the paintings, there are certain scenarios where you are like, shut up, take money, but most times no. And Nikon is very young to this technology, because Panasonic is doing this same system handheld. Nikon is like, bro, you have to take the photo and then send it to PC to crunch it. So you do see, like, in terms of technology, Nikon is like, yeah, we are a bit behind. So in terms of codecs, you have, in terms of video, you have H.265, that's good, and you have 10-bit, really good, with N-Log, ultra good. So it's a really good video camera option, and you can see that in their own websites, they're focusing on that. However, everybody was happy with this the moment they said 4K 60 has APS-C crop. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna crop by 11%. No, sir. Fachang! It just takes it, fachangs it into the center. It's like the from full frame to APS-C crop. It's like literally changes the whole format. It's not like a little bit and all. No, you have to change your lens at that point. So many people just like, no. If they need 60 fps, they are like, no, I'm not gonna touch this camera for that exactly. The crop is too brutal. It's almost reminds me of Canon EOS RP. Like back in the day, they had 4K, but 4K was like so small. The sensor was like smaller than the crop was smaller than micro four third on a full frame camera. So this is reminding us of that. Now it does have a lot of video assist function. Like, you can see that, like, a very clear interface. This is like somebody sat down and it's like, let's not overcomplicate it. Let's show you everything you need to know directly on the page. Giant red notification. Then you have waveform monitoring. For people who know what it is, basically think in this way. It's histogram for video, and specifically fine-tuned for really good rendition. So people love this, and it has this. It also has zebra. So for the people who know what it is, they are like, shut up, take money. So it has really good video oomph. However, there is one weird thing about this, that it has 2 hours 5-minute recording limit. Why? It's like 30-minute recording limit was because somebody was smoking too much in European Union, and they were like, if you record more than 30 minutes, we're gonna give you a penalty as a video camera, as in tax bracket will go up. So Panasonic GH5 was original OG camera that just paid the high tax. So other cameras companies were like, okay, we're gonna give you 29.59 because of the law, not because of the technology, because of the law. But once that was removed quite recently, as in like 3 or 4 years ago, every camera company, Sony was the first, Canon was the second, Nikon was the third, and all of them started to remove the limits. Now, right now, all the cameras are limited by 2 things. Either the battery runs out, or you run battery, storage, or temperature. These 3 things are the primary reason. If these 3 things can be kept in check, the camera will keep on rolling as long as you need to. This weird limit does not make sense. It's like, do you have like a stack overflow on your sensor where it's like, after that 2 hour 5 minutes is like, dude, I cannot write a new frame name. It does not make sense. Like, this is And again, I get it if Canon did something like, Canon is like, hey, we have a cinema lineup, we call it C series. Nobody would buy that if we can do that. Like, okay, I can see that. Sony can do that. Hey, we have a FX series, which is built for basically, you know, cinema. So I can see that. Nikon does not have anything. It's like, this is very weird, but for more than enough scenario, more than enough cases, it's like, shut up, take money. And it does have some robustness in terms of thermal management. Now, not in India. In India, most of these things, unless they have active cooling, you have to use at night, or good luck. So what are we dealing with here? Well, we are dealing with competition, which is a very good thing. So price to performance ratio, it's really amazing, given the fact that $2,000 gives you nothing right now in basically full frame era. So even this, even R8, so the price is really, really good. So how much you are getting, how much oomph you are getting for how much money, genuinely good. It's like good. And finally, a good starter Nikon camera, rather than having a camera that is Speed 6 forced you to like run in 2023. It's like, no sir, this is a sensor and processor combo that is actually capable of standing in 2024. So it's a really good system. Now, 2 backups stills will work, but again, that's much better than having not an option, meaning I will be far more comfortable shooting a wedding on this puppy rather than this puppy, or even in this. So this is one of those things that's like, yeah, micro SD, not great, but this I can trust that higher chance of oops proof. Nothing is 100%, let that be very clear, nothing is 100%, but you have more chances of surviving. So you still have good, for example, if you're like, hey, I just want Sony because it does have better webcam function, and given the fact that almost all of them have micro HDMI, having a USB-C as a webcam direct, for many people it's like, shut up, take money. So for those people, this is there. So we have good options. Even this has like, it does has pre-burst and all that jazz. For many people, shut up, take money. So we have a lot of good option, and benefit of that is, if this camera performs well, it will keep prices of these puppy under control. This is not launched in India yet, so that's odd, but I'm damn sure if this actually starts to sell a lot, this will keep the prices under check, which we want as a user. We want that, because yes, inflation is bad, yes, camera prices are going stupid, but again, cameras are not actually growing. They are like, none of these cameras, neither Nikon nor Sony nor Canon, none of them are like made in made in 2010. They are all from 1990s. Their interfaces, compare them to mobile phone. Like, they are like, I know for a fact that the processor that is used by Sony is the same processor used in A1. A1 has a much bigger megapixel sensor, and it can just read that, crop us, basically downscale it, and then create a 4K file at 60 FPS. Same processor that has that much crunching power that it can compile a 8K video, somehow cannot do 33 megapixel to 4K. No, it can do. They just blocked it. And again, I do understand. They're like, hey, we actually don't have good reason to make so many cameras. It's like, if we actually give 4K uncropped 60 FPS, why would people buy A7S III? And same with Canon. Canon is like known for cripple hammer. So that part I do hate, is that all these camera companies reached a point where it's like, they're basically feature locking, where like, we don't actually need to make so many cameras, but they're like, what if we make 10,000 cameras and all of them are garbage? So I'm happy that at least some competition is there, because be mindful, we have already lost Olympus. Panasonic is not doing that great. So, and Fuji, while it is very good in APS-C, they know APS-C is not printing money, so they jumped into GFX. Again, GFX is directly a different ecosystem. Really good, really amazing, but it's a different ecosystem. So this 3 is the only options that common people have, and I'm happy that this is actually a good competition. This will keep the prices low, under control. So this was my presentation on Nikon Zf. Hopefully you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst a friend. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike, press it twice to show me extra disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.